Gemara of Chabez, the Gemara for the first day Yom Tov Shavuos. Just a quick word about Shavuos. So my Shavuos is a minhag to have Ilonis trees in your home and in shul to remember that Shavuos is Rosh Hashanah for the time of the fruits. The Eibusha decides whether what kind of year it'll be, the yield, what will be, and then you also have a meaning of Asev, which is flowers and grass, because Har Sinai had, we're told not to let the animals graze this. So obviously there was grass. So these are the props that we have. The word Asev has two abbreviations. The one word Asev is the names of the Yom Tovim: Atzeres, Shavuos, and Bikurim. These are the three names of this Yom Tov, and that's why you have perhaps Asev. Another statement is Oise Shalom B'Mreimov. Now, the meaning is to have flowers in shul and flowers at home. Flowers in shul, because that's Yom Tov. Asev is Atzeres, Bikurim, Shavuos, and Bikurim. Flowers at home is Oise Shalom B'Mreimov. Flowers bring a lot of peace into the house. Okay, so we should all have a wonderful Yom Tov. Let's continue the Gemara now. We're up to the Mishnah Daf Chabez, Amud Aleph on the bottom of the page. So we have two kinds of doves. We have bnei yaina, which are the small ones, like pigeons. Sometimes they're called pigeons. Pigeons and doves are the same family. And the other ones are called turtle doves. But they're the larger ones, which is also, within doves, there are specific species. Says the Mishnah, kosher b'turin, that's the Toirin. That which is kosher by Toirin, in other words, they have to be older, is possible bnei yaina. If bnei yaina is too old, it's no good. And kosher b'nei yaina, that which kosher b'nei yaina has to be young, possible b'Toirin. Is possible by Toirin because they're too old. So therefore, Toirin have to be over a certain age, and Bnei Yaina have to be under. Then it's a tchilas hatziyuv. When it starts on the tip of the wings, when it just starts forming a golden, some gold over there, is ubezeh possible. It's not good as a bnei yaina, which is supposed to be young, a young dove, and it's not good as a Toirin, which is supposed to be an older dove, because this is right in between. It's not here, it's not there. Yudus and Jens. Okay, we're up to Gemara for Beis and Aleph, and the Mishnah is telling us, just like we had yesterday, call our kosher, but this is possible, but this, whatever is kosher, shchita, and we went through different things by Malika, and whatever is kosher, Malika is possible, whatever. So on. So we're continuing drawing contrast, even though it's not exactly the same din, but we're talking about birds.
You don't mention age here. Is that
no? It's you'll see in a minute. It's the color that tells us if they're mature or not. Toidin, what are Toidin? Toidin magadolim. Shadim, that's kosher. Tanim, but they're still young. This species, Toidin, which we call turtle dove, is young, is possible. And bnei yaina, tanim, bnei yaina, you have to be young. They're shadim. Gedolim, once they mature, they grow in size through the apostle. Nimtza. So the rule, this is what the Mishnah means. Kosher b'Toirin, apostle b'Yaina, kosher b'Yaina, apostle b'Toirin. That's what the Mishnah means. But I was explaining our Mishnah. That we learned Toirim, Gedolim. Now this Brisa goes a bit further. Toirim are larger bird doves, like turtle dove, like tanim, and not the smaller species. The sheyach, I would have thought. Valadino, we have a kalochem. Ma b'nei yaina. We're talking about if it wouldn't have said in the Torah at all, let's say anything about Torah. Or Taisa says, how can it be? Then how would you know Torah is kosher? So it means it would say in a different pasuk, not the same pasuk together. It says bnei, so it can't be older. Yet it's good when it's cotton. So Torah. Which is l'chayda kosher when it's larger. Ain't it surely should be kosher also when it's small. Therefore it says Toirim. Therefore we have to tell you that Toirim gedolim will like tanim. Only gedolim and not tanim. How do we know what's in it? Now then we continue. Bnei yaina. What about bnei yaina? Is dafka tanim will like gedolim. Sheyachal, I would have thought. Toirim is limited only to older ones. Yet Huchshu big daily, larger one. Huchshu big daily is kosher with the older ones. Bnei Yaina shehuchshu big tanim ain't surely Huchshu big daily. It says Bnei Yaina tanim will like daily. So my Talmud. So what is that? How do you learn? Omar, so it's very simple. When it comes to Yaina, the Torah always says Bnei Yaina. When it comes to Toirim, the Torah always says Toirim. We don't find any pasuk where the Torah says Bnei Toirim. We don't find any pasuk where the Torah just says Yaina. It's always Bnei Yaina. What does that tell us? We haven't found a pasuk v'lichtov and to be written min bnei ha'todim. I mean the other way around. Is a raya it's dafka. Yoina has to be bnei, and todim has to be larger. So why don't we say the follows? By yoina is dafka bnei, and by todim we don't care. How do you know to say that todim is dafka old, older ones? Maybe yoina Teda clearly says all the time bnei yoina, so bnei yoina has to be when it's still young. But when it comes to todim is not a dactic. We don't care. Young, old. How do you know to say dafka old for the mother? Because it has to be the young one. But not the large ones. Todim, you want to bring old and fine, you break down them lysi. Says the Gemara, because since the Torah puts the two together, that Bnei Yoina Todim is what? Dumya the Bnei Yoina. We say that the Todim have to, says the Pasuk, Minat Todim, Bnei Yoina. So we say, we say they have to be similar to each other. Ma Bnei Yoina is Dafke Bnei, Tani, meaning them loy. So when the Torah says Todim without Bnei, is Gedalim, in Tani loy, Dafke, bigger ones, older ones. Tanaban, we look in the Braisa, Yachal, I would have thought, we're just talking about over here, about a bird. A dove, a bnei yena dove has to be dafka when it's still young, and what do you call it? And the todim, which is the turtle dove, has to be dafka when it's older. And then we said the interim period is when the tip of the wing it starts becoming tzir, becomes again a little bit golden. That's too old for a bnei yena and too young for a todim. Nishdas and nishdas. And we're going to ask a very interesting chakir here. Tell them we learned. I would have thought you call out Todim. I would have thought any age is good. Minat Todim. Says in the Pasuk, you should bring him Minat Todim. I mean, we already had a few times, means some of them, from that, but not all of them. Like call out Todim. Min B'nai Yonah. Like call B'nai Yonah. Prat. So what are we excluding? L'tchilas Hatziv. There's a time when you cannot bring the period, neither one is good. When it starts forming, talking about over here, the doves, when the tip of the wings start forming near the neck, start forming a little bit of gold, but didn't really spread further. Shebezeh or shebezeh puzzles. Puzzle either as a bnei yain if you bring that species, or you bring the toidim that species, it is puzzle. Me'ei masai ha toidim sheidim. So what's the simon to know when toidim are kosher? Mishiyazhivu, when the gold spreads out, when the wings are bigger. And the reddish, goldish, that shade. And Me'emasai, that's a chol, and onwards. We're talking about toidim and onward. That's the youngest that they can be used from when the bread. And Me'emasai b'nei yoina psulim. When are b'nei yoina? When do they become possible? When they say too old. Meshi yatzhivu. When we just said the tip of the wings become gold, that's too old for a b'nei yoina. Tani Yaakov Korcha, amazing name. Rashi says in a few places Rabbi Yeshua ben Korcha is Rabbi Yeshua, is Rabbi Akiva's son, Rabbi Yeshua, and ben Korcha is because they call Rabbi Akiva the Baldy. Pesa says impossible. How can you call Rabbi Akiva the Baldy? So he said it was somebody else. Like he's happy it was somebody else, but it was not him. So he still called the Tana by his name Yaakov. Here's even worse, Yaakov the Baldy. Like, we're not sure who this is. If this is, sorry, I'm sorry, but Yaakov the Baldy is even worse than Rabbi Shua ben Korcha. That's what you're calling him by, and he's a Tana. Very odd.
Unless it wasn't an insulting term in those days. I mean,
I was once walking down Kingston Avenue, and my hat flew off on Shabbos. So Schwarzer pulls over with his car. And he lowers his window, and he says to me, because I already look like this a little bit, he says to me, he said, young man, you're not losing hair, you're gaining face. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's a compliment.
Cyrus is the Nikki Chitzanis from the Mike.
Of
course. Has no unique Chitzanis.
Yeah, nowhere to go.
We got an Aliyah this year.
Yeah, exactly. When the kosher went from zweiten Seite, as Rashi explains, if it's too young, the bnei yonim, it has to be young. But if it's too young, it's mias. And mias, we have hakriveyu no lefechosecha. This we to bring to an officer. It's pasnish. So what age do we say it's no longer too young that we can bring? No, it's from here, this moment, this juncture, until the tip of the wings start on the gold, you can bring this yonim. What age is that? What are we talking about here? So he says here, names of bnei yonim shadim. Mishi Alalu. From the time of Ya'alalu. What is Ya'alalu? He said it and then he explained. It says in the pasuk by Eve, excuse me, as by Freichot, that the baby chicks from an eagle is Ya'alalu dam. They absorb the blood. So when the bird is old enough that it absorbs its blood or it drinks, they talk about drinking blood. Yeah, it swallows the blood. That's by the what do you call it? That's by the eagle. That's what the pasuk is talking about. Yeah. So we're saying over here by this bird when it absorbs its blood. What do you mean it absorbs blood? What do you mean the bird absorbs its blood? So they ask, what does it mean? Amar Abai says, "Michi shamit gat famine." When you pull away one of its wings, va'asa dummy, and blood comes out. So in other words, maybe a day old, whatever. It's very young. Okay, boy, it has an interesting shakir. When you say that this period where the tips of the wings are gold, which is tziv, and it's too old for bnei and too young for a thing. What's pshat? The pshat is it's like ben hashmoshes, exactly ben hashmoshes. The pshat is a suffix. We don't know if this is still considered a bnei yaina, and we don't know if it's still considered a toir. Which one is it? So therefore, we leave it alone. Or is the word it's a vadai? It's neither. It's a third entity. It's not a suffix, suffix if it's a bnei yaina or a toir. It is a barrier b'fnei atzmai, and it's not part of the birds that you can use on the mizbeach. Which one is it? And mine after me, no simin. Boy, somebody says, I will bring upon an oil min hatoidim, oy min bnei hayoina, the hevit chilas hatziv shebezev. But he brought both. He brought a bnei yaina, he brought a Torah, and both of them the gold started forming on the tip of the wing. And the shaila was a yotzes neder. Because if it's a vada beri b'fnatzma, you said a beri, you made a promise of a Torah. This is neither. You said one or the other, but this is neither. It's a beri b'fnatzma. But if you're going to tell me that it's definitely a Torah or b'nei, we just don't know which one. So if I bring both of them, I definitely brought my neder. Teish already asked, but one of them is definitely puzzle. How can you bring chulin la'azora? So Teish makes a big chiddush, which Kiveger talks about. Everyone talks about it, and that is that when you make a neder to bring a korban, when do you fulfill your neder? You would think the poshat is once you bring a mizbeach. Teish says no. Yeah, Teish says no. That's as Mishnah Melech explained. That's to do with kapara, but with your neder, as far as your neder is concerned, the moment you give it to the kohen. And this goof is machlek is achrein. If you give it to the kohen's hand or you bring it to the azora, as far as a neder is concerned, it's yaitze. They said that in the first answer. Kibun shehevili out a kohen yatzi they need it, but you're not yaitze kapara yet. But haraya, if you messed up, you got to bring another korban, other nafkaminis. So so that's what Taisha says. You're not going to bring it up. The kohen will definitely not bring it up because if it's a suffix. You brought both of them. How can we bring it up? One of them is definitely not. It's chulin lazori. You're not bring chulin lazori, but the raisim, the rabban, you're not allowed to. Anyway, so the question is fake haviv enofik. So therefore, you would definitely yetzi in edit. I do a beri haviv enofik. Maybe it's a separate burial together, and you didn't bring neither ben yain nor a toit. Nishaitza. Whatever tashmach. So go to Rabba. Come in here. It says here in the says prat. We learn from the pasuk prat l'tchilas hatzir shebezer shepasul. Said in the Braise that it comes to right. It says here min hatoidim, not all the toidim, min bnei yaina, all bnei yaina, and it comes exclusive to the Braise. Chilas hatziv shebezeh u'shebezeh shepasal. That's what the pasuk is coming to tell you. Min, what? Not all. If it's tziv, it's no good. Now, in the Amri Bishla burial have it's a separate burial together shop. I understand. The Torah has to tell you that even though this is a part of the family, you would think that this is good enough. I'm telling you, it's not good. Oh, but Amri, it's fake. Tell me it's a suffix. We have a suffix. We don't know what it is. It's a krol mutas fake. What you need a pasuk to tell you that this suffix which you have, for like we have another lesson, mikas fake kamishmaya. You need a pasuk to tell you that it's a suffix. No, what's trying to a suffix? The Abisha has no sfeikis, at all. Either it's Torah or it's ben yaina. We don't know. So the trade is not going to give you a pasuk to tell you something that you don't know what you should do. The Abisha knows well, definitely it's either a bnei yaina or a Torah. We just don't know where to put it in. So why would you have a pasuk to pasel? It's one or the other.
Or it's vada, you don't bring it
because there's suffix. Yeah, that's how Rashi seems to be saying, like you just said. That's why you don't bring because there's suffix. Other than the way I just said. So the Gemara, no, maybe the pasuk has nothing to do with. That's a suffix, and it's our problem. and we're not going to bring it. What's the pasuk min toidim? What's the pasuk coming to tell you here? I mean, but hayena. So might something else altogether. And what is that? If this bird was served or this bird was nirba, doesn't say leveya because it's impossible for a bird to be leveya. Somehow or another, it is possible to be a nirba.
Be a big bird.
Okay, you have to be a crazy man. Okay, nirba v'nevet. So why do you need a pasuk to tell you that the apostle? Of course, we know all the behemoths. Remember, we had Menabeimim and Abakim and Atzayin to tell you that Muktzah is no good and Nevet is no good. Why by bird you need a specific limit? Very interesting. Because I would have thought. See, it says in the pasuk that it says Kimosh Chasam Bahem Mum that Mum Bam Lo Yiratzlechem, that if this thing that they bring over here, the Abraham one could has a mum. What's Mosh Chasam Bahem? It's as if Fadarbin. What's Mosh Chasam Bahem? So it says Rabbi Shmuel. Either it was used for Avodah Zarah or by erva. And it says possibly compared to a mum. And what do we know about birds? There's no din of mum by birds. So therefore, we would have thought no din of mum, there's no din of hashchasa either. By the hema, okay, not by the thing. The Chsiva says that's we know erva. By Neich, Avodah say it says by tentas chisun. You maybe you be fadorben as well, and when you get to Tzrova Silach Pesach, oh sham paisel by Rabbi Chum paisel. That's what they thought. The chosh ain't a mum paisel by the mum is not passing. There ain't dvar erva by Chum paisel by. Hani oifus birds. However, possible mumma. There's no mum by oifus. Where do you see that? Damama we learned tamas v'zachras bebehema. The ain tamas v'zachras beoifus. There's no din of a male, and neither you have to be whole. And Rashi says a fascinating thing. Small women are also by small women are mutter by a bird, but large women are not. Which the Achreim therefore learn that if a neighbor is missing, Rashi learns it's a din of a mum, but there's a difference of mum. They will ask Rashi, there's no woman at all, it seems to be more. Not that small, there's no small woman. Rashi gives an example of cataract of an eye. So they want to say the problem missing an neighbor is not because it's a mum, it's because of Hakrivei, it's a pasnish or other things, not because of mum. But the bottom line is, since we don't have the concept of mum at all by bird, or at least not on small things, I would have thought, and this is also difficult in Rashi, if it's only small things, but big things is the problem, you would put Avodah Zorah and Erva in the small category list. It's a terrible Avedis. So therefore, they say there's no mum at all by birds. Why I'm missing an aver? That's because it's akivena. If it ain't tawazacha beifus. Say, I would have thought to tell you that is possible. We'll stop the Gemara here. Mitzvah Shabbos we'll learn at 7:00. This is the first day Yom Tov's Gemara. So Mitzvah Shabbos, second day Yom Tov, we'll learn at 7:00 on Zoom. Plus my Yom Haledes, so the share will be covered by Yom Haledes. Easter Chag Vayom. Amen. Amen. Amen.
Thanks. Have a good Yom Tov.
Amen. Good Yom Tov. Go Yom Tov. Kabbalah Satira Simcha Primis. And we should have a good Yom Tov.